Hello everyone and welcome to Type Q&A, the show where we answer your burning questions from Quora and make a handy little video to answer them. Today we're going to be talking about schema, in particular what is schema and what is an entity. So without further ado, let's get into it. The internet is full of weird and wonderful things with lots and both of many millions of things in between. So the job of being a search engine is actually getting harder and harder with all that stuff out there. So how does Google actually know the difference between like a musical band or a wedding band, or being super bright or like me, or just super, well, you get the picture. In this video I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful world of schema and entities. What are they? How do they work, and how can you use them to boost your search traffic and your conversions? Do you know what Google hates? No, not link builders. Oh, that's a very good guess. No, Google hates being wrong. If you search for something that has multiple different meanings, which answer or result should they be giving you? If you search for rock, did you mean like a rock, like a stone? Or did you mean rock as in like the Rolling Stones band? Or maybe you meant rock like rocking backwards and forwards. Maybe you're thinking about rock as in Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's really hard to classify because what we're talking about is homonyms, homophones, and homograms. Whew. If you can't remember what that means, quick trick, homo just means the same, and we're going to talk about the same in all of them. So phones is something you listen to, so homophones are words that sound alike but don't look the same. So a flower that you can smell and flower you can put in a cake. Graphs, like all good marketers, are things you look at. So homographs are words which look the same but don't sound the same. For example, wind as in wind up a toy, or wind as in blustery weather. Homonyms are words that both look alike and sound alike. For example, rock and rock, the example I used earlier. Okay, if you're keeping up, let's talk about disambiguation. Google is getting much smarter at understanding these confusing terms. So like humans, they use context for clues. If the instructions say tie up your present with a bow, you're going to get some very funny looks if you start using archery equipment. So with a hat tip to Bill Slosky for this example, if you're writing about a horse and you mention hammers and nails and carpentry, Google knows you're talking about a sawhorse. Now, if you wrote about burdles and reins and saddles, Google probably knows that you actually mean the type of animal, a horse. So for example, if you sell carpentry tools, you probably don't want Google sending you people that are looking for equestrian equipment. Now, this is exactly where schema comes in. Schema is essentially a way to mark up things on your website to make it crystal clear to search engines exactly what they are. So take a product page for something simple like maybe a shoe. So the page is going to have loads of numbers on it, like the size, the weight, the price, the review stars, the stock levels, the product codes, and all sorts of things. Now, marking that up with schema, you can actually tell the search engines what number is what. Now, if you go to the schema.org site, it is a mine of useful information on this exact topic, and it has lists of all different schema types that are available and a bunch of examples to actually put them on your website. Now, when we're scrolling through, you can see there's absolutely loads of them. There's even a special schema for public toilets, so you can include information about when they're open and if they're inside another location like a shop or a library. Now, schema is a universal language. It was actually set up initially by the big search engines, Google, Bing, and Yandex and Yahoo, to help website owners actually feed the machines information they understand more readily. And here's the thing, if the search engines are able to understand you much more clearly, then they're able to put the right content in front of the right people at the right time. Better yet, using certain types of schema helps search engines to better understand your content, but it can actually increase your chances of getting something called a rich result snippet inside of the search engine. Now, recipes are a really good example of this. So using schema markup, you can put markup on your ingredients, prep time required, cooking time, and even the type of cuisine that it actually belongs to. And it doesn't stop at food. Recipe schema is actually a subset of a how-to schema. So if you write a step-by-step guide, say on how to implement schema on your website, I can actually mark up this how-to tutorial with schema how-to markup about marking up schema tutorials with how-to. FAQ schema can be another great way to get a lot of the valuable information from your website onto the SERP and increase your SERP real estate. FAQ schema is essentially getting a list of question and answers and marking them up so when someone asks the question, they can be answered straight away inside Google themselves. For example, a piece about what is schema might have content which answers questions like, how do I implement schema and which type of schema should I use and things like that. Now, done right and ranking well, this single piece of content can actually dominate the very top of the search results with all those expandable boxes, and it can push your competitors way down the search result page, even if they're ranking at position 2 and position 3. Now, all this extra markup helps search engines like Google better understand the complex world in which we live. A complex world filled with entities. Entities is basically a fancy way of saying things. For those still having high school English class flashbacks, this is like a synonym. So, an entity can be a person, like you or me. We are both entities. It can be a place or a table or even a classification like a king or a queen. So, using entities and the relationships or vectors between them, search engines can actually understand the world much better. So, a man is to a woman, as a king is to a queen, or a father to a mother. It can also understand that Paris is to France, as London is to England, or Edinburgh is to Scotland, or as Washington DC is to the USA. You kind of get the idea on where I'm going with it. Now, Google actually shares some of the ways they do this on their website. If you go to cloud.google.com/natural-language, you can actually take some of their natural language machinery for a spin. And with these tools, if you can see how Google actually sees your content or your competitor's content, you can use things like schema to mark it up. So now you're on the road to producing content that's not only better for users, but better for search engines and more likely to get you ranked, to get that all-important traffic and higher revenue figures. We hope you've enjoyed this video about schema. I appreciate it was very dark and deep and in the weeds. If you've got this far, please hit that like button to show that you've liked it. If you loved it, please hit subscribe. And until next time, we will see you later.